make some noise. Make some noise for me one time. Put your hands up. Yeah, it's about to go down.
You're now listening to the 0 to 100 show, the source for all you go-getters.
Are you ready?
It's time to level up with your hosts, Tony and Charlene Chance.
So, shall we begin?
Let's go.
Oi, 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 oi. You're locked into the 0 to 100 show where we put it down so we can all come up.
On this week's show, we'll be sharing gems about how you can survive financially when you start doing your own thing.
Yes, welcome back. I'm Tony Chance.
And I'm Charlene Chance, and we are your hosts.
Yes, before we jump into the episode, this episode was supporting the Maximum Achievement event in London on the 28th of September, hosted by Bianca Miller, where they've got Brian Tracy, the master of productivity there. I love that guy. I'm always watching his videos on YouTube. If you're interested in it, head over to our Instagram page, click on the link, and you can get 20% off with our code.
Yep, the code is 0 to 100, so that's ZEROTO and then 100. Learn more, earn more, man.
Yes, sir.
Right, so this is our first episode in a while. So anyone who's listening at the beginning kind of knows we recorded some episodes earlier this year whilst we were traveling. We did episodes everywhere, man. Panama, Colombia, the Amazon jungle, all of that. But we're back home now. So This is our first episode we're recording from London. We're very happy to be back.
Yeah,
we're ready to share.
Yeah, man. We're happy to get back in the swing of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's been nice doing it while traveling, but now we're back. We're planning to bring on some guests on the show.
Yeah. First guest next week.
Yep. And just, keep coming with those jewels and those gems to kind of help us all level up our game and make things happen.
And if this is your first time listening, so welcome to the show for a start. Just to let you know what it's a bit about. So 0 to 100 is all about that. It's like what are the strategies and tactics for taking your life 0 to 100? Leveling up. And in particular, what we're kind of focused on is doing that when you've gone, from circumstances that aren't necessarily privileged, when you're the underdog. Like Tony and I, we're definitely underdogs in the game. We're from the ends, we're from South London. We're not born into money or nothing like that. But we kind of made things work. We've made things happen. And we want to share some of the tactics. And we're going to bring on guests throughout this series to kind of share theirs as well.
So basically the objective is so we can all model the people who are from the same situations and then model so we can all succeed.
Because that's the key. When we're learning from people, we want to learn from people like us, like who have what we want, but who have been where we've been. That's the master key.
That's it, man.
Just a bit about us then. So we are two entrepreneurs. We're digital entrepreneurs. We earn all of our money online. We are financially independent. So that means our business can kind of pay for our lifestyle passively, so without us working. That's why we were able to travel for 9 months. I know that's something a lot of our listeners kind of want us to talk and share about, so keep listening and we're going to do that. But understand it's all about the mindset.
That's it,
so
man.
In our first series, when we're talking about things like mindset and all that, like don't ignore that stuff. Go back, have a listen, because that's the difference between like Tony and I and kind of other people who've tried this thing. We have the mindset of them, the mastery mindset. You get me?
You've got to master it. You get me? Because there's a whole heap of things that we could all be doing. Yeah, like the purpose of this podcast isn't to tell you need to be doing this to make your money, you need to be doing that, or you need to be doing this to up your game. But there's fundamentals in how we all do our stuff.
Exactly.
And, those lessons there are what make us excel in everything that we do. So we want to share those jewels and help you to kind of level up.
So that's what the podcast is all about. And that's who we are. But so this week we're talking about how to survive financially when you start your own thing. So like this is a huge problem. Again, particularly when you haven't come from like privileged circumstances, you haven't necessarily got family and friends who can invest all this money and help you to make things happen. Like how are you going to start your own thing, but keep paying your bills, keep paying your rent, keep paying your transport, your bus fare, keep putting noodles in your belly and all that.
Because at the end of the day, it's stressful if you don't take care of it.
Exactly.
And when we're stressed, we ain't focused. And it's taken for granted sometimes because a lot of people, it's glamorous these days to be starting your own thing. But the realities of it are, if you can't keep your head above water while you're doing it, your head ain't in the game. And therefore, you're not going to be as effective and productive as possible. And it could make your stuff go pear-shaped. So we want to eliminate the stress by taking care of the financial day-to-day part of it.
Exactly. So the key solution to this kind of problem is to really slow down and kind of take the pressure of your business. That's the first thing you're going to want to do. And we're going to break down how, but you need to take the pressure of your business not to have to pay for you to survive financially. Like, that sounds weird. You want to start your own team, but we're not going to rely on the business to keep us, to keep our head above water at the beginning.
Not straight out the door.
No, we're going to break that down. So like, this is 100% something Tony and I, literally I would say up until about the past 18 months, this was an issue we really suffered with. You know, like, surviving while starting our own businesses has been hard. Like, we both left really good corporate jobs 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago now. Yeah, 6 years ago now, to kind of do our own thing with no real plan of how that was going to happen. So literally, I think we left our jobs on a whim. We didn't have savings. We didn't have a family who was going to invest and support and give us all this money and safety net. And all the pressure went straight on the business. And what happened when the business couldn't pay? At first, it actually did all right. But when the business couldn't pay, we got kicked out of our yards.
Yeah.
We ended up having to like move into a shared house, you know, sharing a bathroom. We're sleeping on a mattress on the floor. Like, we had no pee. Like, seriously, it was bruck pocket. And that's stress.
Yeah, stress. And to be honest, even leading up to that, you know, it getting that bad, we started making poor moves in the business because we was more focused on how can we, you know, pay the rent and how can we go and get a little food. You know what I mean? And those moves necessary, how you can go and get some food ain't necessarily the best decision for your business.
Exactly.
So,
and that's the point. Like, so the stress of kind of surviving financially really does impact the business, and that's why we need to remove the stress, you know, to provide financially off the business. Because when you're trying to start a business, and that's the key here, is for people who want to start a business, you got to make critical decisions that are best for growth, not best for paying for your dinner or paying for your rent. Those two things aren't necessarily the same. And that's something that we really, really failed to do, and is collapse businesses, kind of making those poor decisions. So our food business, Love Smile Jerk, that collapsed because we made poor decisions based on getting money in versus growing customers. Do you know what I mean? Or marketing.
Yeah, so basically, we don't want no one else to have to go through that, and there's ways that we can avoid putting this stress and pressure on ourselves. So what we've come up with for this episode is a little system that you can follow to try and help and apply it in your life to help you from getting stressed, losing focus, and, you know what I mean, having these financial problems when you're trying to get your business, your idea off the ground, your hustle.
Right, so we love a system, we love an acronym, and this week's acronym is SWIM. So it's the SWIM system for surviving financially.
Sink or swim.
Sink or swim. So S is strategy. W
is when to leave work.
I is income.
And M is to minimize.
Right. So let's go into it. So strategy. And the strategy kind of all relates to what is going to be the number one milestone when you're creating your business. Now, bearing in mind, I just said everything's all about growth in your business, and it is. But the number one milestone before you're saying things like, I want to make millions, I want to make billions, I want to exit, has to be to replace your income, right? You're only going to build a good business if your financial bases are covered. So setting a milestone to say, okay, I'm going to just grind so that my business brings in this basic income so that I can focus on growth strategy, not make stupid decisions, has to be milestone number one. So Tony and I came out the gate saying, I literally remember us like high-fiving when we started the business saying, okay, we're millionaires. Like, that was the zone. So bearing in, we haven't earned a penny yet, but we're talking about we're millionaires, which is great. That's like mindset, energy, that's good energy. But what I'm saying is, before we went straight to millions, we should have set a milestone, a clear strategy of how we're going to replace our income. That would have saved us a lot of trouble later down the line.
Yeah, and kind of like applying no guilt to that, because, you know, when you're out the door, you're thinking, I was going to do whatever it takes to make this happen. You know what I mean? I'll make, you know, every sacrifice that I need to do. And that's like, their attitude is good, but in reality, you need to basically make sure your bases are covered so that you can make the right sacrifices to excel.
There's no point in pretending you don't need money to live, right? Now, we're going to get into minimize later on, but we need income. So to pretend that you're going to go on zero just so you can grow your business is unrealistic. Yeah. And I think a really good kind of indication of that is, so when we were in Silicon Valley, pitching investors, big time investors, so the people who kind of pitch, invest in Google or Facebook, those kind of people. When you're investing, even as a startup, they expect you to have included your salary in the amount of money you need. And that's proof. Because what that's saying is that they know to build a Facebook, a Google, or a huge successful company, you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah. And the same applies for no matter what scale of business or hustle that you're doing. For you to be able to successfully make the moves that you need to do, first of all, is your salary covered so that you can keep your head in the game? Because no one don't want to put no money behind someone whose head ain't in the game of what they're trying to do.
Exactly. So first step, a strategy for you to replace your income. Guilt-free. How is your business going to replace your income? Right? So that's S, strategy.
And then the second part in our system is W for when to leave work. Yeah.
And this is a big one, right? Like this, I would say in our story is the one we got wrong. I think we left work way too quick. Like what I just said, like we left work with no savings. And I think that was a mistake. If you can avoid that, you don't want to do that. So kind of our system around leaving work is that you should do one of two things. One
is to have some savings. So they call that a runway. So basically have enough money that can pay you a salary for X amount of months. Now that how many months is going to be personal to you, but I would say, between 6 and 12 months.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so give yourself a runway of a savings that you can live off whilst you work on your business.
Exactly.
Yeah, so don't leave work until you've got that in the bag.
Right, exactly.
Or two.
Oh, I thought you was going to go. What are you saying, fam?
Go.
Okay, so 2 is to stay in work until the business replaces your income. So like, is there a way for you to manage and run the business part-time? And then once it replaces your income, leave. Yeah. Right. So we went and saw Gary Vee the other day, and he made this really interesting point about people underutilizing the hours 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. was it? And I think like this is kind of what he's getting at there is like, is it possible for you to use those extra hours to build your business, stay in work? Like that's grind time. Don't get me wrong. Like that's, but I've done that as well.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? That's grind time, but like, can you do the two things simultaneously and then quit work once you've replaced your income?
Yeah,
because so that's the 2.
Yeah, because you might, it's again, these are all personal. Yeah, you might not want to, or you might do the maths a bit like, for me to save up 12 months salary, I won't get to the business for ages. Yeah,
exactly. So
you might want to say, okay, I'm gonna have to go in now. It's gonna have to be some late nights, getting on the grind, working on the business in my spare time on the weekends, so that way the business can get to a point where it can earn an income, and then you can think about leaving the job.
But like really think seriously about when you leave work. Like don't get gassed. Like I think we got a bit gassed. We just left work hype, and it's worked out eventually, but like I said earlier, there was a lot of struggle in that process, which I think if we had stayed at work for 6 months we could have avoided. So really consider when you're going to leave work and try to put it down to one of those 2 things. So either A, when the business replaces your income, or B, when you've got that 6 to 12 month savings, so that you're kind of covered whilst you're running your business. Yeah. So that's S and W we've covered of the system. Okay. So I
is for income. So how are we going to keep this income flowing whilst we're building this business, getting this idea off the ground, getting this hustle cracking? Yeah. So if you're fortunate enough, someone might give you some money and invest in you. That'll be brilliant. Saves you a lot of time, and you can skip a lot of this. Yeah. But that ain't the case for most of us. It wasn't the case for us. Yeah. So if that's not the case, then 1, continue working full-time or part-time. Don't neglect the part-time work.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you've got a current job, there may be a way for you just to reduce your hours, or you can just get like a second. Look, what part-time work have we done? You've done some.
All kind of things.
Like there's pictures, we might share them, like of Tony with some drill and some workman boots, like just trying to get some P in. I've done like inventories around properties just to get some P in. Like there's no shame in the game.
Yeah, don't watch no face.
Don't watch no face. Like you're trying to get something cracking. To let it fail because you needed money and wasn't prepared to do what it takes for that is a joke thing. So if you can reduce your hours at work, do it. If you can get some part-time work on the side to keep the money flowing in, do it. If you need to work full-time whilst things is starting off, do it. But like keeping income flowing in is key.
Yeah.
So 1 is through work.
Yeah. And the other way is to get a side hustle cracking.
Yeah. We're the kings and queens of side hustling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or king and queen.
Yeah. And I love side hustles.
Straight. Like I wrote a blog recently on the 0 to 100 show for 3 side hustles that Tony and I have kind of used and made money off. You can find that at 0to100show.com/side hustles. But there are an abundance of side hustles, man. So like
we're not going to say which one you should do, but basically go out there, do your research and find one that suits you. Basically the objective is to find some money to keep trickling in whilst you keep keeping things
and ideally passive, right? So like what Tony and I do. So we make a lot of our money today on Amazon, which started out as a side hustle.
Yeah.
Today it pays like way more money, but it started out like bringing a little £200, £300, £400, £500 a month, innit?
Yeah. And
it was a side hustle.
It's a side hustle, man. We've said in pencil cases and action figures.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that was passive income.
Yeah, it freed up our time to be able to work on our bigger business.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so like side hustles, just a few examples. You can check out that blog, but it'll be like Amazon, drop shipping, profit accumulator. Like you can check that out separately on our blog, but that was a huge one for us. If you've got a spare room in your yard, Airbnb it. Like, what can you do to keep some money rolling in? That's the key. That's income. Because look, reiterating again, if you let your income dry up and the business isn't paying for you to pay rent, pay bills, buy food, you're not going to focus on the business. So even if you have that thing runway that Tony was talking about, the 6 to 12 months to kind of allow you to grow, having some little side income coming in still is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
So really, really think about, okay, how can I keep some income rolling in? Working and side hustling.
And to be honest, like, we're sharing this from like a real place of trying to give back love, because we have gone through some real pain from this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like we
tremendous.
Like not taking care of some like the simplest things. Like it's not even big money, but when it's not taken care of, the stress it creates in your life and the distraction that it brings into your world,
trust me,
is not what we don't want to invite that in.
You
know
can't be a successful founder of a business when you're thinking about, how am I going to eat dinner? Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you focus on building out that kind of thing, that external thing, when you're just thinking about, how am I going to pay my rent? Think about that, and keep the income rolling in for sure. But how much income? That's the key. So this is the last one. How much income we're going to discuss now with minimize.
Minimize, yeah. So what can we sacrifice? What can we minimize in our lives to kind of take the pressure off? One, how many hours do we actually need to work making this income, and how much do we actually need to earn? Yeah.
And this one's only for the serious people. This is the one that divides, like the people who are going to make it from the people that won't. Like there's this quote. Let me get it. Let me read it. Sorry, it's my papers. You can hear me with my papers. If you don't sacrifice for what you want will be the sacrifice.
Right.
And that is the truth. So although we're saying keep the income in, etc., I don't mean the same income you were living off before you had goals. You might have to cut back that income. The amount of money you need to survive. We're talking about, let's minimize to the basic level, short-term sacrificing so that we can get the business off the ground.
That's everything, man. It's like it's time to look off the sky. It's time to downgrade the car. It's time to really reconsider what is really important. Because if the goals are serious, then you got to say, okay, are the things I'm spending my money on as serious as my goals? If not, minimize them for now, so that you take the pressure off how much money you need to earn, how much time you need to spend earning money whilst you grow and get your thing started.
And don't watch face. Same as I said, like with, I meant to, with getting a job. If you need to get a job, don't worry about that part-time job after you started hustling. Don't worry about it. Same here with minimizing. Don't watch face. Like, Tony and I have had to go through embarrassing situations where we had like no GARMs. We're in the same GARMs every day, or like, we didn't have somewhere to live and everybody knew that, or we had to get a smart car and everyone mocked the smart car. Like,
I love that.
And that was when we had more money anyway. I think it was all right at that point. That was just being prudent. But yeah, like, don't watch face. Don't like try to keep the income at the same level just so you don't have to feel away in front of people. You are on big things. Like, you are trying to take your life to the next level. Like, that is the focus. Focus on the end goal. You know what I mean? And minimize, because you want to keep that amount of income you need to keep coming in as small as possible. That shouldn't be the job. Your job is to grow the business, to grow your side hustle. You just need to survive. So what is the minimum? If you can go and live back at home, go and go live back at home. If you have to reduce to like a room, like we said, we had to reduce to a room in a shared house. If you have to do that rather than have a nice flat, do it. Like, whatever it takes, really minimize. Yeah, man, and focus on the goal.
That's it, man. It's de-stress the situation so we can get it cracking.
Yeah, and like on that, see all the things we're saying? Like, we was living in the shared room, blah, 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 had no GARMs, same GARMs every day. We're recording this coming back from 9 months of traveling, all of which we paid for from the salaries our business pays passively. Like, whether we work, whether we sleep, work, whatever, we're earning money. 2 years ago, we had nothing. And that's where we are today. That's what our sacrifice got us.
Short-term sacrifices.
It's short-term. I'm saying this is 2 years ago.
And here's the thing as well, a lot of the people around you in your day-to-day life ain't going to get it. when they see you going out looking at work, yeah, they're going to be like, raw, it's not working out for you, yeah, or try and put that energy around you. They're not going to get it, but don't watch that.
Don't watch
because
them.
we get it and anyone else on things gets it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because you know what you're doing to make the moves to take your life to the next level. So don't watch No Face. Don't worry about people understanding or getting it or trying to have a little chitter chatter behind your back about.
Don't worry about that
because it's a
People
short
who
term
are on
sacrifice.
things won't even think that.
Anyone on things will be like, go on.
Exactly.
Yes.
What? You're sleeping on the floor so that you can make things happen.
I love that.
Straight. Just a side note before we recap the system, like I want to talk about the perils of borrowing money. Particularly, I want to talk about the perils of borrowing money off of friends and family for business. Like, you know, it depends on your situation. But if your family don't understand the concept of investing, right? So don't understand that they're lending you money for business and that might work or that might not. I would say don't borrow money off friends and family, because what you don't need also is the pressure of people running you for money when you're trying to grow a business. So if you can do what we spoke about here, which is minimize, stay in work, earn an income versus over borrowing money, like I would do that. Like we've borrowed money, and I would say those times were the most stressful all the times. Yeah. Right? So if you can avoid borrowing money, particularly off of friends and family.
And even, to be honest, even like borrowing debt from,
Oh, of course. You don't want to get into debt if you can
avoid it. The reason why,
anyway.
even deeper why, is because, especially when you're just starting out, the realities are things don't work straight away. Yeah, so you might go and borrow the money in the hopes that if you put the money into the business and everyone thinks it's going to pop off straight away, and it doesn't always pan out like that.
Exactly.
And you end up in debt whilst you're figuring it out.
Yeah.
So whilst you're figuring it out, it's better that you're earning a side income whilst you're figuring it out before you go and put in some real money into the business.
Follow the SWIM system over borrowing. So just to reiterate, let's recap the system. So this was the SWIM system for surviving financially when you're starting your own thing. And SWIM standard for, does that make sense? Stood for.
Come on now.
S for
strategy.
W for
when to leave work.
I for
income.
And M for
minimize.
Exactly. Great system.
Yeah, man. Apply it, please.
And learn from, like we said, a lot of pain.
Yeah.
That's experience right there.
That's straight. All right. So as always, let's jump into the 3 actionable steps.
3 actionable steps.
All right, so actionable step number 1 is to minimize what you actually need as an income. So it means to take a moment now and take some time to work out how much income do we actually need? What can we minimize, and what is the figure that we need to stay afloat whilst we're getting things cracking?
Exactly. And number 2 is if you don't want to stay in work until your business can pay your salary, which for a lot of us won't be the ideal plan, you need to create a plan to build that 6 to 12 months runway. So now that you know how much money you need, how are you going to save 6 to 12 months worth of it, right?
Mm-hmm. And number 3, you have the option now to find or create a part-time job or a side hustle to keep that money flowing in. Yeah.
And I would say even if you have the runway, still do that if you can, because be prepared in business. You want to de-pressure the business in the early stages. We really want to avoid putting pressure on the business to keep us afloat. We want to focus on growing. So
that's it, man. That's your 3 actionable steps.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and after you apply that, then you ain't gonna have no stress with the money and the P. You can just get things moving. Sweet.
Feel free to ask us any questions about it. You can get us on Instagram, right? At 0 to 100 show.
Yeah. Or personally at Mr. T Chance.
And at Happy Charlene, HAPPISHARLENE.
Cool. All right. So like we said, going forward, next week, we've got guests on the show. Yeah. We've got some really sick guests lined up who are going to drop some real jewels who are out here making moves, doing some major things. So we're going to bring in, we're going to get this knowledge circulating.
It won't just be me and you talking.
No, it's going to be some new voices.
The other thing I wanted to say before we go, some of you might see me and Tony doing something called Champagne Tuesdays. And what that is it's kind of me and Tony taking a moment where we just celebrate our successes of the week, the 7 days before. And like we can celebrate anything, like small things like we didn't eat bread to like we got a new deal, whatever, like anything. It's just basically acknowledging our success, because success breeds success. And we want you all to get involved with Champagne Tuesdays. We want you to start celebrating your wins so that you get more wins.
You don't need champagne.
No, it's nothing to do with
You can do it
champagne.
with juice. You can do it with a can of Coke.
We got a friend who does it with ice cream, right? Like,
but it's the action
the
of
acknowledgement,
it. Acknowledging the show of gratitude for what's happened. Yeah.
So do it. celebrate your successes on Champagne Tuesday at us at 0 to 100 showing it, so that we can send our vibes, vibrations, energy to just kind of keep everyone winning, to keep the energy high.
Yeah, tag us, man, and we'll amplify, we'll celebrate with you. Yeah, on a Tuesday.
Exactly. Right, so that's it. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe to the show, subscribe to the channel that you're most likely to listen it on: Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes, anywhere else, YouTube,
SoundCloud.
Like, subscribe, comment, leave a review, show love, man, and definitely share. Like, we're going to post this on our Instagram wall. Tag someone who is trying to start their own thing, who needs these tips, man. Like, be kind. Share, like, we all want to come up, so
yeah, share.
That's it.
Yeah, okay, so thanks for listening. As always, expect results, apply yourself, and laters. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you guys. Follow our Instagram at 0 to 100 show and our website 0to100show.com for more info and a look behind the scenes. If you like what you heard today, please like, subscribe, and leave us a review. And if you've got any questions, drop us a message or leave a comment. Laters.